Istanbul is one of the most exciting cities in the world. From the majestic Blue Mosque to the historic Grand Bazaar, in total, we spent 2 weeks exploring this place, and in this video, we're taking you on a journey through our top 12 spots to visit in Istanbul. Let's start off with the Hagia Sophia. Originally built in the year 537 by Emperor Justinian, it was the world's largest cathedral back then, and it stayed that way for almost 1,000 years. When you step inside, you're entering a building that is over 1,500 years old. 180 feet or 55 meters above your head, you've got this massive dome which seems to float thanks to its hidden structural supports. At its base, there are windows that let in soft natural light, giving the whole space an almost magical glow. When the Ottomans took over Istanbul in the 15th century, Sultan Mehmed converted the cathedral into a mosque, adding those iconic minarets, Islamic calligraphy, and the mihrab that faces Mecca. Just a heads up, since the Hagia Sophia is a functioning mosque, you'll need to dress modestly and remove your shoes before entering. Now let's talk about food, specifically Turkish breakfast. Imagine a table full of small plates filled with everything from olives and cheeses to fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, and jams. The star of the show is usually menemen, a scrambled egg dish with tomatoes, peppers, and spices. It's hearty, flavorful, and served in a small pan that arrives at your table sizzling hot. Turkish breakfast also comes with an endless supply of fresh bread, from simit, which is kind of like a sesame bagel, to warm flatbreads. Add in some local honey, clotted cream, or fresh fruit jam, and you're in breakfast heaven. Now we're moving on to the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul, one of the oldest and largest covered markets in the world. The Grand Bazaar dates back to the 15th century and has around 4,000 shops sprawled across a maze of covered streets. When you step inside, it's like being transported back in time. You'll find everything here: carpets, jewelry, ceramics, spices, leather goods, antiques, you name it, they have it. The bazaar is lively and a little bit chaotic, but that's part of its charm. The vendors are so warm and welcoming, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a good time. A bit of advice: bargaining is expected. Start with a lower offer and don't be afraid to walk away if the price isn't right. And if you need a break, look for a Turkish tea house in the bazaar. Many vendors will actually even offer you tea while you browse. It's part of their culture, so take them up on the offer. Just a short walk from the Grand Bazaar, you'll find the Spice Market. This place is sensory overload in the best way possible. Here you'll find stalls piled high with spices, teas, dried fruits, and Turkish delight. If you're looking for gifts to bring home, this is the place. Up next, a Bosporus boat ride. A Bosporus boat ride is the perfect way to unwind and see the city from a whole new angle. The Bosporus Strait separates the European and Asian sides of Istanbul, so when you take a boat ride, you're literally cruising between two continents. It's pretty surreal. The views are incredible, with palaces, ancient fortresses, and beautiful Ottoman-style mansions lining the shore. You can take a simple ferry ride on the public ferry, which is affordable. It only costs about $1 and it has frequent departures. Or you can opt for a more luxurious, proper cruise that includes lunch or dinner. We recommend doing it around sunset if you can. The colors as the sun goes down over the water are unbelievable, and you get a great view of Istanbul's skyline. Now we're moving on to Topkapi Palace. If you're in Istanbul, Topkapi Palace is a must-see. Calling this palace grand and luxurious is an understatement. It is massive. The palace building itself is 70,000 square meters. That's about 100 football fields. The immense complex houses up to 4,000 inhabitants, including 300 women in the Sultan's harem. More on that later. The Topkapi Palace was the home of the Turkish sultans for over 400 years. It's filled with beautiful courtyards, countless lavish rooms, and incredible collections of artifacts. In particular, the imperial treasury is pretty insane. It's filled with jewels, ceremonial weapons, and even the 86-carat Spoonmaker's diamond, one of the largest diamonds in the world. Now, the best part about the Topkapi Palace is exploring the harem, the private area of 400 rooms where the Sultan's family and royal concubines lived. The Sultan had up to 300 concubines, which were considered additional wives living with him in the palace. They were his sexual partners and were expected to bear children for him. Walking through the harem, you get a peek into the luxurious and complex world of the Ottoman elite. You'll see rooms covered in Iznik tiles and gold decor, like the privy chamber of Sultan Murad III, with its intricate patterns and designs that are just jaw-dropping. And if you're into views, don't miss the marble terrace overlooking the Bosporus. Moving on, you have to try a Turkish hammam. A hammam, or Turkish bath, is one of the oldest traditions in Turkey, dating back to Roman times, and it is an experience. When you walk into a hammam, the first thing that stands out is the architecture. Arched ceilings, marble surfaces, and there's steam floating through the air. The hammam experience itself is done in a specific sequence. First, you spend time in a steam room, allowing the heat to soften your skin and relax your muscles. Then, you lie on a heated marble slab called the göbek tasi, or belly stone, where an attendant will give you a vigorous scrub with a special glove called a kesse. It will feel intense, but you'll be amazed at how smooth your skin feels afterward. The whole process usually ends with a foam massage and a rinse, leaving you feeling clean and incredibly rejuvenated. Some famous hammams in Istanbul are over 400 years old and are true cultural experiences. Now, after all that relaxation, you're gonna be hungry, and there is no better way to scratch that itch than with a classic döner kebab. Istanbul is famous for its döner, which is thinly sliced meat, usually lamb, chicken, or beef, that has been slowly cooked on a vertical spit. We highly recommend this place. Just look at how big that stack of meat is. It might look like an ordinary sandwich, but every bite is juicy, flavorful, and infused with a blend of herbs and spices that is distinctly Turkish. Once you finish your kebab, it's time for dessert, and there's nothing better than baklava. This place has the best baklava in all of Istanbul. Turkish baklava consists of layers of filo pastry, chopped nuts, and honey or syrup, all baked until crispy and golden, and then soaked in just the right amount of sweetness. The best part, baklava is usually served in small squares or diamonds, so you can try a few different kinds, or stuff them in your pocket for later. I'm not saying I did that, but I'm also not denying it. If you're an adventurous eater and into street food, you've got to try kokoreç. Kokoreç is made from lamb intestines that are cleaned, seasoned with herbs and spices, wrapped around sweetbreads, and then grilled on a horizontal skewer. The crispy, flavorful meat is then chopped up, mixed with tomatoes, peppers, and spices, and served in a crusty sandwich or on a plate. We're normally not that into intestines, but we tried this dish at Kral Kokoreç and it was absolutely fantastic. So crispy, so well spiced, and so many textures. Next up, Kadıköy. If you want to experience Istanbul like a local, Kadıköy is the place to be. Forget the tourist crowds for a bit. Kadıköy is where Istanbul's Asian side comes to life, and it's got a more laid-back vibe than the bustling European side of Istanbul. The market here is a fantastic place to start. You'll find fresh produce, Turkish cheeses, spices, olives, and piles of Turkish delight in every flavor you can imagine. Grab some stuffed mussels here and walk around with a snack in hand. It is the best way to explore. Istanbul locals actually buy a lot of their groceries here, so you're literally shopping like a local. Kadıköy isn't just about the food though, it's also known for its artsy vibes. You'll find colorful murals and quirky street art around every corner, which gives the whole area a really cool creative energy. For coffee lovers, Kadıköy is a paradise with spots like Brew Coffee Works or Walter's Coffee Roastery, which actually has a Breaking Bad theme, making this a great area to recharge. And if you're into nightlife, Kadıköy's Moda neighborhood is packed with bars and pubs where locals hang out until late. It's got a chill neighborhood vibe, making it perfect for a more relaxed night out. Now we're moving on to the Blue Mosque. If there is one spot in Istanbul that will stop you in your tracks, it is the Blue Mosques. This visual masterpiece was built in the early 1600s by Sultan Ahmet I. It's officially known as the Sultan Ahmet Mosque, but everyone calls it the Blue Mosque because of the stunning blue Iznik tiles that line its interior. There are over 20,000 of them, each one handmade and uniquely patterned. When the light streams in through the 260 stained glass windows, the whole place just glows in shades of blue and gold. The mosque has an incredible 6 minarets, a bold design choice at the time because the only mosque with 6 minarets back then was in Mecca. So to avoid controversy, Sultan Ahmet actually had to fund a 7th minaret for the mosque in Mecca just to keep everyone happy. The central dome of the Blue Mosque rises 140 feet or 43 meters high, and it's flanked by 4 half domes, creating this really cool cascading effect. Standing inside, you can't help but feel a sense of peace and awe. This space can hold up to 10,000 worshippers all at once, but it still feels a little bit intimate because of the beautiful details everywhere you look. If you're visiting, remember it's an active mosque, so dress modestly and avoid the prayer times. For a truly unique experience, head over to the Galata Mevlevi Lodge by the Mevlevi Sufi order for centuries. The dervishes, dressed in long white robes and tall hats, spin in slow, meditative circles with one hand reaching up towards the sky and the other down towards the earth. This movement represents their connection between the divine and the earthly. The Galata Mevlevi Lodge is one of the oldest Mevlevi lodges in Istanbul, built in the late 15th century. The lodge has a small museum where you can learn more about the history of this order and Sufism before attending the ceremony. Now we're switching things up, let's head down to the Galata Bridge for a classic Istanbul street food experience. The bridge itself is a hub of activity connecting the historic and modern parts of Istanbul, with views of the Bosporus on one side and the Golden Horn on the other. But the real treat here is grabbing a balik ekmek, a fresh fish sandwich. Picture this big chunk of grilled fish, usually mackerel, served on a crusty bun with lettuce, onions, and just a sprinkle of salt and lemon juice. It's simple but absolutely delicious, and there's nothing like eating it right by the water. Now, for a small plot twist, Istanbul locals often pair their balik ekmek with a shot of pickle juice. Yes, you heard that right, they drink pickle juice. It sounds strange, but the salty, sour taste actually goes really well with the fish sandwich. It kind of cuts through the richness and adds a refreshing kick. There are little stands along the bridge that sell it, so give it a try. The Galata Bridge is also a popular spot for fishing, so don't be surprised if you see locals lined up along the bridge with their fishing rods in hand, reeling in their catch of the day. Watching them fish as you enjoy your balik ekmek really gives you a sense of the local lifestyle. After you've had your fill by the bridge, head over to Galata Tower for one of the best panoramic views of Istanbul. Originally built in 1348 by the Genoese, this medieval stone tower has been a landmark in Istanbul for centuries. Inside, there's a spiral staircase or an elevator that takes you up to the viewing platform. Standing at around 67 meters tall, it was once the tallest building in Istanbul and served as a lookout to spot fires and protect the city. Today, Galata Tower is open to visitors and the view from the top is breathtaking. From here, you can see the winding Bosporus, the Golden Horn, and the sprawling city skyline that stretches across both Europe and Asia. Close by, you have the Serdar-i Ekrem Street, a quaint cobblestone paved street lined with cafes, artisanal shops, and trendy fashion boutiques. It's perfect for a little shopping. While you're in Turkey, after Istanbul, you might want to head over to Cappadocia, which is truly incredible, and we've got a video on that as well, so make sure to check that out.